Well, hello all you lovely people and welcome to another video of mine. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my personal opinion about Assassin's Creed Shadows. I've been a long-time Assassin's Creed franchise fan and I have literally got every single game that they have released in my Steam library and also my Epic Games library. So I was really interested to try out AC Shadows because from the initial videos that were surfacing online, I obviously thought that there were a lot of differences that really stood out for me. So, in today's video, I'm going to be talking about what these differences were, how they impacted the game for me personally, positively or negatively. And I'm also going to give you my 2 cents about the whole game. I know this review is coming very late, but I wanted to take my time. I wanted to complete the campaign, the main campaign or the main story of the game, and then only would I be comfortable giving my 2 cents about the game. I've successfully done that, and in today's video, I'm going to be telling you the good and bad about AC Shadows. So kindly stick around till the end of the video. With that said, let's get started, folks. AC Shadows marks, in fact, a significant departure from the franchise, and it transports players to this turbulent era of feudal Japan. And you get to play as two protagonists this time around. One is a samurai. You all would have known a lot about this character even before the game launched because there was a lot of negative publicity around Yasuke. And then you have the nimble shinobi, Naoe. And what this game promises is this fresh take on the familiar Assassin's Creed formula. While it delivers on many fronts, particularly in its immersive world, and also its distinct character gameplay, it also stumbles in some of the areas, not a lot of them, in some of the areas. And the most important area for me was the traversal system, and that's where it falls really short for me. And I'm going to talk to you about specifically this particular point, which stands out like a sore thumb to me, especially if you've been playing Assassin's Creed for a long time. You would exactly know what I mean, but let me just elaborate on this point. Now, this game gives and then it takes. I know it's a common theme in a lot of the other videos that I generally make, the theme about giving and taking, but let me explain how this gives and takes. One of the most immediate and undeniable strengths of AC Shadows is its stunning recreation of feudal Japan. I mean, this game is absolutely gorgeous. You've got serene beauty of bamboo forests, you've got the imperial grandeur of these feudal fortresses, and the game overall is a visual feast. There's no denying that. In fact, I would even go on to say that this is the best AC game that you would have ever seen, period. And the attention to detail is remarkable. You've got authentic architecture, you've got meticulously designed clothing, you've got vibrant flora and fauna that truly bring the whole Japanese era back to life. And to top it all off, you've got a dynamic weather system, and this dynamic weather system does a lot for the game. A lot changes because of this weather system. You've even got the day and night cycle. Unfortunately, they have departed from the ability to be able to control the day and night cycle, because if you have played Origins, if you have played Odyssey, or even Valhalla, you were actually able to control the time of day and night by simply pressing one button. Day would change to night and night to day, but in this game you don't have the ability to do that, so they have taken that away from you. So this is already a different thing in this particular game. What is also different is, unlike the other games, you remember how I spoke about the dynamic weather system here, this truly takes the game to a whole different level, and this adds to the game positively. And they've even gone to great lengths to add custom animation. For instance, when Naoe is sprinting around on ice, you would have her slipping on the sheet of ice. So they've added these subtle animations. Even when you're climbing on top of a hill, there are custom animations that have actually been made for the weather effects. So it really makes a huge impact. I'll give you another example. For instance, during autumn, or during, let's say, even the winter season, you will have fields that are barely empty where there are no crops growing. But come springtime or summertime, The crops will be absolutely packed. So the entire visual display actually changes because of this dynamic weather system. And I think that is a remarkable achievement in a game like AC Shadows. And this is what sets it apart from all the other AC games that we have seen in the past. And I only hope that they use this dynamic weather system in the future games as well, because this is a welcome addition. The sound design is also equally impressive. You've got the clanging of swords during intense combat, you've got the rustling of leaves as you stealthily navigate through the undergrowth, and also the traditional Japanese music that swells during key moments, and they all contribute for a deeply immersive experience. So Ubisoft has clearly poured significant amount of time, effort, resources into capturing the essence of this historical period, and it pays off handsomely. Now, unlike any of the other Assassin's Creed games, I know you would say that we've already had this formula of two protagonists. So we had Evie and Jacob in Syndicate, we had Alexios and Cassandra in Odyssey, one of my favorite AC games. And although there was not like different protagonists, but in Valhalla, you had the option of playing Eivor as a female or a male protagonist. But here's where this game really stands out and it differs to those other games. First of all, you've got Yasuke. And this is a historically African samurai. And Naoe is a skilled shinobi. And both of them offer a very different play style. But it's not until you play as Yasuke that you actually feel how different the game feels, especially when you play as Yasuke. I mean, the entire system is unlike anything that you have ever seen in any of the previous Assassin's Creed games. Yasuke moves differently. His leap of faith is bad. I mean, they've deliberately made it bad. I mean, he does not even land properly. He always rolls over when he's jumping and taking that leap of faith. So, Yasuke moves differently. Even when you're sprinting, the camera angle itself is very different when it comes to Yasuke. The way you get onto the horse is different. And as an assassin in the previous game, and even as Naoe, you have the ability to be able to climb most of the things. I mean, in all the previous Assassin's Creed games, you could climb anything that you could lay your eyes on. So if there was a building, if there was a tower, if there was a mountain, if there was a hill, if there was a tree, you could literally climb that. Anything you could climb up on. But in this game, Naoe has limitations and she has restrictions. But what is extremely restrictive, or what feels like a big restriction, is the ability of Yasuke not being able to climb, in fact, the most basic of structures. So, unless it's a short wall, that Yasuke will be able to climb. But if it's a tower, then it's gonna be one heck of a task for you to climb that tower, especially when it comes to these sink points. I so often found myself switching over to Naoe whenever I had to sink, because it required me to climb up these high towers. And climbing up these high towers as Yasuke was a different challenge altogether. So, although I do appreciate where they have gone with Yasuke and how they have made a lot of changes to make Yasuke feel like a completely different character. He does not feel like any of the assassins in the previous games. That's a good thing and also a bad thing. I wish that they could have given Yasuke the ability to climb. It would have just made it a little more easier playing as Yasuke, because playing as Yasuke is where the game feels absolutely different. It feels like, in fact, a reboot if you play as Yasuke only. But when you play as Naoe, you get into those comfortable shoes of yours as an assassin, because it feels like your standard typical assassin experience. And as Yasuke, you have brute force, you have the ability to directly confront enemies. His combat prowess is unmatched. It allows players to engage in these visceral sword fights with multiple enemies. And even your armor is heavy. You feel like this heavy, tall, larger than life character, and that also gives him a sense of resilience, making him ideal in clearing out heavily guarded areas through direct engagement. Nawe, on the other hand, is the quintessential assassin. Her agility and mastery over stealth, and even the stealth mechanics behind it, that's what allows for intricate infiltration and silent takedowns. And I think the name AC Shadows is because of Nawe, because she operates from the shadows, whereas Yasuke likes to operate in light. So there's that contrast as well. And you excel at utilizing shadows. You can get into structures, you can turn the lights off, so you can extinguish lamps, you can extinguish the lights which are literally there, because when you extinguish them, you have the ability to not be located. I mean, your stealth improves furthermore. And apart from that, you have this hook facility now where you can literally hook onto a structure and then climb. It just makes traversal vertically so much easier. And the ability to switch characters at any given point in this open world provides a welcome layer of strategic depth, because in the previous games, even when it came to Alexios and Cassandra, you can only choose the character in the beginning and then you would have to go along with that one character. And despite of the fact that whether you play as Alexios or Cassandra, the playstyle was the same. The movement, the weapons, everything was the same. But here, it's very different. The traversal is different. The climbing is different. The vertical movement is different. The weapons are different. The weapon customization is different. So Yasuke and Nawe are poles apart. And that's what sets AC Shadows really, really different from any of the previous games in the franchise. And I appreciate that. They have taken the time and effort to make a lot of changes to make Yasuke feel that way. And certain missions or scenarios naturally lend themselves to each of these protagonists. So you get to choose. And some are story based missions as well, where you will have to switch characters, because if you don't, you won't be able to progress in that particular part of the story. So the game overall encourages us as players to think tactically about your approach. And this duality is what keeps this particular game fresh, and it also keeps it engaging throughout the length of the campaign. Now, speaking of the length of the campaign, the game is not very long. If you've played Origins, Odyssey, or Valhalla, those games would have been a stretch compared to this game, because I think you can comfortably get over the campaign, the main campaign scenario, in say about 45 to 50 hours. If I compare this with the Odyssey, then I've spent like 130 or 150 hours in the campaign. That was a very long game. In fact, I think that is the biggest or the longest AC game that I've ever played, followed by Valhalla, and even Origins was pretty long. But this game is not that long. But just because something is long does not mean it gives more value for money. Because Valhalla, after a certain point in time, I really felt that everything became so repetitive, and there was no meaning or there was no purpose in carrying out these tasks or these missions that I was going on. It felt hollow. Here, I think the shorter length, in fact, works in favor of AC Shadows. The story is tight, although it's not that great. You do have repetitive tasks to do. It's the same gameplay loop, yeah. I mean, there's always the mysterious order, the Templar order, or some other mysterious order that you have to take down. So that gameplay loop stays the same here as well. So there's a bit of a familiarity there in terms of the gameplay. And if it would have been a longer game than maybe 50 hours, I think I would have felt really bored, and it would have felt repetitive, just like Valhalla. So I also want to talk about the combat system and also the stealth mechanics just a bit, because as you play as both these characters, Yasuke and Naoe, there is a lot of variety because they're completely different characters. And unlike Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Alexios and Cassandra, here there's a lot of depth in the way these characters have been tuned. So, for instance, Naoe's stealth mechanics, they feel more nuanced, and there's this greater emphasis on utilizing your environment for cover and even for distraction, like extinguishing light objects, for instance. And there are also new tools and new gadgets which further enhance your abilities as Naoe, this shinobi assassin. And that's what creates this satisfying stealth takedowns. And Yasuke's combat it's weighty, it's impactful. In fact, you can use brute force to even take down objects as you're sprinting. Yes, you will take down walls, doors, etc., just by running into them. And there's not a lot of dodging that I personally did as Yasuke because, again, very larger than life character, very heavy. The armor feels heavy. And I used Yasuke whenever I wanted to take down multiple enemies because it was easier. The time taken to take down multiple enemies with Yasuke was comparatively shorter than with Naoe. With Naoe, I mean, the multiple moves that she would use to move around and etc. would take a lot of time to take multiple enemies down. So if I had to take multiple enemies down in a particular campaign scenario, I would use Yasuke over Naoe. But I want to talk about one thing which has really led me down in this game, and I want to take some time to talk about this, and that is the limitation of the traversal system. Now, what do I mean by this? First, let me tell you that the biggest positive attribute of this game is the design of the game. That's the biggest positive attribute, and I've already spoken about it. The game is absolutely gorgeous. But this is exactly where it takes from you. Because in this game, the foliage, as an example, the flora and fauna that you get to see all around you, the quantity of it is so much that it literally obstructs your travel freely. You will bump into trees and you will not be able to proceed forward unless you slash it down. The good thing is you can slash it down. But the game's beauty is what becomes the obstruction. You would not be able to seamlessly climb and parkour across its intricate structures. Let me give you one small example. Yeah, let's think, for instance, this is a hill. So in any of the previous games like Odyssey or Valhalla or Shadows, if I wanted to get up the hill, all I would do is just run up the hill like this in a straight line, straight up. And that saves such a lot of time. But in this particular game, there are specific paths that have been drawn out. So if you want to get on top of this hill, what you will have to do is go all around this hill and then get up on top. And that takes a lot of time. I understand that the developers have designed this deliberately so that you take a look at the world around you, you get to do more things, you take in the views, and you can soak it all in. So I understand that that was the initial purpose, but once you get over the first few hours, like 15 to 20 hours in the game, and if you have to do this exercise over and over again just to get to those sync points as well, which are generally on top of a high structure. So instead of going like this, you have to go all the way like this, and trust me, that can be really frustrating. And what's worse is when you have to get down, there will come a time when you're sliding down and you hit a tree and your movement is blocked. And like I told you, unless you chop the tree down, you won't be able to move forward. And it's not just in getting down. Even when you go up, there are certain times in the game where you feel like you are almost there and then the game takes you down. I mean, you slide down. I mean, that is so frustrating in my personal opinion that it feels like you are being restricted. If you compare this with previous installments, then trust me, your movement will feel extremely restrictive. And if you have played an open world game like Odyssey, here you will feel like a caged bird, is what I would say. So no longer can you effortlessly scale almost any building or any natural formation. Climbing is largely limited, and it's also marked to these designated areas that I've spoken about. And even in these designated areas, these structures, they have marked places, like it'll be marked in yellow. So it's marked in yellow because as Yasuke, if you want to climb a structure, you'll have to follow these yellow markings. Otherwise, you can't climb. It's a challenge on its own. It's I would almost call it a mini game if you want to climb up a structure as Yasuke. Speaking of mini games, there are these mini games that you get to play. It's timing and tone based for Naoe. And for Yasuke, it's timing based. There's this kata scenarios. Even that is frustrating. I mean, if you can skip it. But you need to do this in order to get knowledge points. And only when you get these knowledge points can you actually go up in your abilities. So that is a bit frustrating to me. And this is the most, in fact, frustrating part of the game for me, which is the traversal system. And I understand that these developers may have implemented these restrictions for specific design reasons, such as controlling player flow or highlighting certain environmental features as well. But the result overall is a noticeable step back in a core mechanic that has defined Assassin's Creed experience for years. Yes, as any of the previous protagonists, I did not have this complaint. I could just climb up any structure I wanted. But now I just feel like they put shackles on my hand and feet, and I've now been bonded, and there's this restriction to climb any of these structures. And this limitation, particularly, feels out of place in a setting as vertically rich and architecturally diverse as feudal Japan. But beyond the traversal limitations, there are some other minor detractions as well. The story is, I would say, generally engaging, but there are pacing issues as well. I did not find any supernatural elements in this game, and being a fan of mythology and being a fan of the supernatural elements in some of the Assassin's Creed games, especially Odyssey, that's why I'm such a big fan of Odyssey, I found that missing out here. Even my son, he was asking, I mean, do you have any of these mythical creatures like the Minotaur or Medusa, for instance? Nada. There is nothing here. No supernatural element here. Some may appreciate that. I personally did not. And some of the other side quests as well, while it offers glimpses into the lives of common people, it can feel repetitive and it lacks the depth of the main narrative. In fact, the climax of the main narrative was a big letdown personally for me. I mean, all of that build up and then poof. I mean, that's what I felt when I finally got to the final boss. And plus, there's the size of the world itself. It is overwhelming for sure. It can be both a good and a bad thing. And there's an abundance of collectibles, but these collectibles feel meaningless after some time. So it's just like the same old chop wood, carry water, chop wood, carry water, chop wood, carry water kind of a feel. The gameplay loop does become repetitive and boring. But I'll tell you what, I still enjoyed my time with AC Shadows. It's a visually stunning and narratively, for most of the gameplay, it's narratively engaging, but there's some bits which are a letdown. And it does offer a fresh take on this new landscape of Japan. And I also appreciate the fact that I can switch between these characters, Naoe and Yasuke, whenever I want to. And there is also refined stealth systems in place now. And Yasuke feels like a completely different game. It in fact almost feels like a soft reboot when you play like Yasuke. So I appreciate all these things. But the traversal system is where my biggest complaint with this game is. I think it's a big letdown and it's a step back instead of going forward. And overall, I think if you've been a fan of Assassin's Creed franchise, then it's a worthwhile experience. And for fans of the series, you will definitely enjoy this game. You will love the world of Japan that they have created. And the dual protagonist system will stand out, especially Yasuke as a player really stands out. And it's a more grounded experience compared to other Assassin's Creed titles, Valhalla, Origins, or even to Odyssey. In fact, it seems like they've scaled this down purposely. But again, some people may appreciate it, some people may not. And that's what I personally feel about AC Shadows. That's my 2 cents on AC Shadows. So I know I've already spent a lot of time explaining and what I personally feel about this game. What are your thoughts? Please let me know in the comments section. And if you've felt the same, then let me know. If you feel like I've missed out on something, then again, let me know in the comment section and we can chat about it. And I'll see lovely folks in my next video. Before you go, if you've liked this video, I would greatly appreciate it if you could hit that like and subscribe button and also the bell icon in case you want to get notified with all my latest videos. I do make videos like this on gameplay, on Let's Play videos on my Lenovo Legion Go, talking about the Lenovo Legion settings and how to optimize your games on the Legion Go. And I also have unboxing and reviews of items or products related to gaming. If you want to become a part of my community, all you got to do is hit that subscribe button. And apart from that, there's also an option of joining my channel as a member. As a member, it's as low as $1 to join and become a member. I greatly appreciate your love, your support, and I thank you in advance for doing that. I'll see you lovely folks in my next video. Until that time, I'll say take care, stay safe, and may God bless you all.